Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel, and we're talking fish again unfortunately, but I will be doing an ant video soon, my ants are in hibernation. But I'm going to let you in on a little adventure and show you where we're at with the Roma 240. And as a fairly new fish keeper, I have had fish in the past, but I'm doing it properly this time. The room is a pigsty, this thing took some serious setting up. But this is the state of play now, and I'll explain to you how it's all going. So this is my tank setup as it stands. I have my CO2 drop checker here, which I haven't actually got the CO2 connected, but I've just put that in, but I shall explain why in a second. I have all my dragonstone in, I have the plants in, we have the grass, we have various things in here. We have the wood, and at the back you can see the CO2 diffuser, which I haven't switched on. We've got some moss on this wood. As you can see, there is bits of food in there because I'm trying to cycle the tank. We have this beautiful piece of wood here, and we have got various mosses and things which I have super glued in there, which should grow eventually. And we have an airstone working down here nicely, and as you can see, there is the inline at the back. So tell us, it's a little bit cloudy at the minute because I have just put in some of this. My fish cupboard is a right mess, I apologise. We have here, as you can see, let's get it into the better light. We have this Microbe Lift Night Out 2 starter bacteria. Now, I've been following a book, and it was saying that 5 to 6 weeks, put some fish food in, let the ammonia build up, and get some Dr. Tim's ammonia. Now, I went up to Maidenhead Aquatics, and they said, doing a fishless cycle is a little bit old school. We don't really do that now, so you can put this biological starter in, 10 milligrams a day, 3 days, and then you can probably put 4 or 5 fish in for a few weeks, let it build up, keep testing with this thing here, with our, I think it's Tetra Master Kits. We'll be checking the nitrates and the ammonia and everything else. And the way I remember the cycle is, if you imagine shit, nitrite, nitrate, and that's how it goes. That's the circle of life. Now, what happens on our first adventure, after we got all our plants in and everything else, I thought, this Aqua Sky 2.0, well, it's not very bright. Even on the maximum setting, I couldn't even see the back of the tank. And I shall tell you a story. This is why I've actually put the tank here, so that on the night time, once we're all up and running, I can just sit here like Lord Muck and look at my beautiful fish. It turns out that I'd actually used the plug from the existing light that came with the tank, and there just wasn't enough juice in it. But having got the actual adapter out of the Aqua Sky 2 box, plug that in, Bob's your uncle. It is brighter than a mother chugger. And what's brilliant about the Fluval system is, if I can get this up on here, it's still connecting. It always disconnects. Pause the video. As I was saying, the beautiful thing about this is that you can control it from your iPad or from your phone. For example, if I wanted to make this blue, I click the blue button. It's not going to show up very well on a night time. Or you could make it yellow or orange, or basically any colour that you want in there, and you can control the brightness of any of them, and that's how you do it. So brilliant little app, and you can set this as a timer so that it goes through day cycle and it will get darker on a night time and things like that. So there we go, that's what it is. So the next problem I had, because this is reverse setup, inlet pipes are actually at the back, and I drilled a hole in the cabinet so that this is actually the front, but the cabinet is on the other side, otherwise I wouldn't be able to access it. And unfortunately, I put the tubes in the wrong way around. So the inlet was the outlet and the outlet was the inlet, and I had to change the tubes. And when I say the water went everywhere, it went everywhere, but we sorted it in the end. This is the Python system. The Python, I'm sure you've all seen it, the Python water changing system. And even though it came with a little grommet that fixes to a UK tap, it would not fit, and I thought, here we go, I'm gonna have to buy something else. But what the solution I found is, inside it, in fact, let's go through and have a look. I'm getting a new kitchen, so I apologise for the mess. It actually comes with this fitting, and it would not fit, but if you pull this little grommet out here, it will slide over a normal UK tap. Job done. So what are you doing about CO2? Well, I've actually got the CO2. I took a trip over to Doncaster, and I'll put a link down in the box below. A really helpful guy who explained all the, not to worry about the safety issues because of this, and he explained it, and he even gave me a professional valve seal that goes on it rather than the one that came in the box. This guy used to do homebrew and basically turned it to business for the last 20 years. Very, very helpful. And he actually put the regulator on for me because I was worried and showed me a few things. And I got my regulator from these guys, which is CO2 Art. And this is the Pro SE series version. And you can see the tank down here. And the reason that we're not all connected up is that it's recommended that you bring the tank in and leave it for 2 to 3 hours to regulate itself to the room temperature. So that's why we've not done it. And as you can see, there is the regulator and the bubble thread and everything else. So I've not connected the pipe up as yet. This was £65, including the gas. But what I really like about this is that this tank is really clean, if that makes sense. A lot of the places that I went to look at, a lot of these tanks were bashed up and looked like they'd been used by welders and thrown in the back of a van for the last 20 years. And while this is hidden behind the door in my room, it's nice to have one that looks fairly decent. And I could actually fit it in here if I move one of these shelves out or cut a little section out. So that may be something I do in the future. So you can see under there, these are the little valves that it came with, which are plastic and hard, and he said it means that you would have to really crank down on this, but he's put me a professional grade one in there. So our airstone and everything is in there, and as we bring these cables up, these are not connected to the CO2 yet. I've actually got these little, I don't know what they're called, drop checkers, is it? Stop valves. It means that if the water was to flow down here, it can't actually go back down into the air pump and the plugs and the socketry down below. Now, one of the questions I've got for you more professional keepers out there is, there is so much mixed information that I've been told that when I have the CO2 on for around 5 hours a day initially, that it shouldn't have the airstone on at the same time. I don't know if this is correct, so if you do know, please let me know, because I'm wanting to do this properly. I'm not going to be putting fish in until this is properly cycled and done right. And it just seems like there is so much information out there that it's hard to know who's right and who's wrong. But that's my update on where we're at so far. Once I've actually got the CO2 in, that's something else for me to learn. I don't know how many bubbles I should be having in a 240 litre tank. Again, if you know that, please do help me out and leave your comments and feedback on how I can improve this tank or whether I've done anything wrong at this stage. But this is my journey, and so far there's a lot to take in and a lot to do and a lot of moolah, but I'm really enjoying it. More videos coming soon from me on fish and ants, and you can follow my journey. I will be getting some shrimps in here next week, so if you want to see those, my jade green shrimps and something else, you're more than welcome to join me. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. So now I've actually got the gas, the CO2 running. I've got the airstone off, as you can see down there, and the inline CO2 Art inline flux diffuser is there, and it's running on about 2 or 3 bubbles a second. Now my question is really, I've been advised that I should probably run the daylight for about 6 hours and run the CO2 for 5 hours, leaving the plants with 1 hour extra to absorb all the CO2. It's a little bit cloudy as the tank at the minute because I've put on the bacteria stuff that we saw earlier in the video. However, what I wanted to ask is, as you can see up there, the CO2 is actually leaving like a film of, looks like scummy bubbles up at the top. The water is hardly moving at all at this side. The flow from the actual pump here on the Roma 240 at the back there is really weak. And I'm wondering whether this will be an issue as we get further in, and as we lift the lid up here, you can see the water is nice and clear at this side. But as we get down here, there's like a white scummy film on the water surface, and it's hardly moving at all. The water's quite stagnant here, as in not moving. Can you guys let me know whether this is going to be an issue or whether I need to get something else in this tank? Because it really is quite a worry. Obviously there's my CO2 checker, which will obviously still be green. It looks a little bit brown on the bottom, I don't know what that's about. It will be green obviously because I've only just turned it on, so Any advice that you guys can help me with is much appreciated.